Welcome everyone, Joe with CRM here at our personal care session in Dallas. And with me is Katie Hazlett from NIQ, who's giving a presentation today that's gonna touch on product innovation, why it's important, and some key innovation trends that are happening in the industry. So Katie, thank you so much for joining us. And to start off, why is innovation such a key driver of growth?
Well, thanks for having me. So at Nielsen IQ, we really talk a lot about innovation. It really is such a great driver of growth. You know, it really helps to create buzz, especially, so I work mainly in beauty and personal care, especially with beauty. You know, there's always new news going on in beauty. There's always new products, new trends to capitalize on, new ingredients to have. So it really helps to just kind of create buzz for your brand, keep yourself kind of top of mind and relevant. I also think it's helpful, you know, there's been many times where I've seen a new product that I've, you know, really wanted to try just because it's maybe on trend, it has an ingredient I'm looking for, something like that. And then, you know, I've really enjoyed that product and I bought something else from that brand. So I think it also kind of helps to just not only kind of generate sales from that new item, but also kind of maybe be an introductory to that brand if someone kind of maybe wants to try that. It's a great way, you know, just from a shelf perspective, a great way to gain distribution. You know, you get, you can maybe have additional distribution, additional displays. It really helps, you know, protect your share. And it's just, again, it's just a really great way to kind of stay relevant and top of mind, especially in such a fast-paced category like beauty.
Gotcha. I think sometimes, maybe misuse is not the right word, but sometimes brands might call something innovation when it's not really, you know, like they add one new ingredient or something, like
UPC,
yeah. So like, how do you view innovation? Like personally, like what makes it so, you know, so different that you could call it innovative?
Sure. So, especially we've done this report for a number of years, and whenever we're looking at innovations, we do look at true innovation. So we, you know, there are, especially with the beauty, you know, they often, you know, change the packaging, you know, update the look, maybe, you know, change something very minor in it. But so we don't really typically look at those. We typically, so the vast majority of innovations are actually line extensions we found. But we do look at, you know, new line extensions, new brands. It really has to be truly new. We try to weed out, you know, we are looking through a lot of data. So it's a pretty hefty report. We mine through a lot of data, and we really try to weed out kind of, you know, what you just spoke of, and really try to focus on if it's maybe the new brand, a new sub-brand, or some, no, but we're not necessarily looking for new scents. We're really kind of looking for that true innovation that we're looking for.
Good. I'm so glad you said that. True innovation. Because yeah, just a new flavor. It's like, oh, we're innovating. It's like, no, you added another flavor. It's a little line extension versus innovation. So, but speaking of innovation, you know, it seems that over the past few years, right, we've had a lot of challenging times. You had the pandemic, you had all those supply chain bottlenecks. Recently, you have inflationary challenges, and brands seem to slow down innovation during those times. And is that a mistake?
We believe so, yes. We think that, you know, even in challenging times, and we certainly had quite a few in the past, but we've really found that brands that continue to innovate, continue to really, you know, create that new news, really benefit in the long run. It might seem like, it might kind of seem counterintuitive a bit, you know, when you are kind of having those pressures, but we have seen that brands that do innovate, they are continue to see those growth. You know, again, it's really helping with their distribution, it's helping with their share, it's keeping them relevant and top of mind. And we're seeing that brands that pull back on innovation, they're kind of more at a judgment than brands that are really innovating.
Well, I think it's a lot like the stock market, right? You have so many people panic when the Dow drops and they start selling off. It's like, wait a minute, that's the best time to buy is when the market goes down, because you're getting more shares per dollar. So same thing with innovate. I mean, innovate when times are tough, and then when times get good, you're going to be so far ahead of everybody else.
Exactly, especially for a category like beauty. You know, beauty and personal care is such a resilient category. You know, over the past few years, we have seen, you know, some categories may have suffered a bit more with, you know, consumers are pulling back. They have to be a bit more mindful of where they're spending their dollars. But we've really seen that beauty and personal care really remains a strong growth category.
And then you stay front of mind, right? Exactly. You're not going to get forgotten over those years, because like you said, we've had a few years of challenges. So if you're not innovating, you're going to get forgotten, where you got all these new brands coming out with stuff that is a true innovation that grabs people's attention.
Yeah, and beauty is just, again, there's just so many brands. It's a pretty saturated category. There's, you know, always new brands to talk about. So it's definitely, it's important to stay relevant and top of mind, just because all the new news, new buzz, it's always happening in the category.
Yep. Yeah. Now, there are several innovation trends that I know you're going to talk about later in your presentation. I'd love to walk through all of them that you mentioned, and maybe go a little bit deeper into a couple of them. So I know one of them is the brand is viral on social, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So when we took a look at our innovations, we tried to kind of group them into trends. So typically when we're looking at all the innovations that we're seeing in that category, some larger trends really start to emerge. And the first one that we looked at was viral on social. That one's a really big one just because social media plays such a big part in the beauty category. From trends, brands going viral, influencers, there's just a lot going on in social media, and it really has a big impact on brands, their sales, what's popular, what's growing. So we really wanted to kind of take a look at what brands are really capitalizing on that. Some brands that might have a viral moment, but it's really important to, use that to the best of your advantage to really, have that be a growth driver for your brand. So we wanted to take a look at those brands that are really capitalizing on their viral and social moments.
Well, and then you have all of this social selling that's going on, and you have TikTok Shop, you have Shine, and it seems that the ones that are really, really active on those platforms, where you have the sale is right there. It's they're seeing a lot of growth.
Yeah, and we're seeing things that kind of grow on TikTok Shop aren't necessarily staying on TikTok Shop. So we've kind of seen it have a halo effect as well as other retailers. So TikTok Shop can be maybe a point of discovery. They have been able to really successfully kind of marry that discovery with social selling and commerce. But we've also seen that brands, if they're doing well, they can also do well on other platforms. So maybe they could try it on TikTok, and then maybe they repurchase at a different retailer. So it's kind of had that halo effect on just doing well for those other brands and other retailers as well.
Yeah, especially since a lot of people, especially in beauty, they're going to places like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube to learn and find new, but then they'll go buy it in the store, or they want to go in the store and test it out. So it's going to have that, like you said, that halo effect. So another one is wellness, right? Wellness, I think that's permeating every single category.
Definitely.
That's right. So what are you seeing in the beauty and personal care?
So what we're seeing is really kind of a blurring lines of beauty and wellness. We're just really seeing consumers are really wanting to see products that have kind of those physical and mental health benefits. They're really kind of looking for a more healthier lifestyle. Just with everything, I think it kind of really started the pandemic, maybe not started with the pandemic, but it really kicked off with the pandemic and really kind of accelerated with people just looking for healthier lifestyles. With everything going on in the world, one of our stats in our report is that the U.S. fell out of the top 20 in the World Happiness Report. We're number, I believe, 23. So just, with everything going on from economic pressures and, political pressures, everything that's going on, I think people are just kind of looking to have that, just looking for products that are going to kind of help them with their self-care routines. So we're seeing a lot of different products emerge that are more so in the wellness space. We're seeing those wellness products even enter into beauty retailers. Like for example, if you go into a lot of Targets now, they have maybe displays of vitamins, for example. So kind of seeing some of those additional categories kind of enter into beauty, because people just are having, I think, a wider lens of what beauty means to them.
Yeah, and it like I mentioned, it touches on other categories too, and there's that whole intersection. It's because now people are realizing not just you have beauty from within with supplements, but people also realizing how much diet plays a role in skincare.
Exactly.
Right, or people, if you drink too much alcohol, it shows up on your skin, or if you're eating bad, or what's going on the inside reflects on the outside. So it's hitting beauty, it's hitting foods, beverages, everything, and it did accelerate. It was happening pre-pandemic, where people were starting to get a little more wellness focused, and you see it on wellness podcasts and the books and blogs, and social media influencers. But then it just really took off during and post-COVID. So when everyone started looking more towards longevity.
Exactly.
And they're like, okay, how am I going to prevent something from, or being susceptible if something happens again? So I think both of them played a role, and you're seeing that play out in the innovations that are taking place now.
Definitely, we're definitely seeing more kind of beauty from the inside and out, kind of wanting to have that superficial as well as internal. Yeah,
and then you also have mental, right? And then spas, like home spas, and it's so, like the self-care. So all the elements that you need to make your own home spa experience to relax, de-stress, and all that. So what are some of the other innovation trends that you guys spotted?
Sure. So another trend that we look at is trusted advisor. So we kind of define trusted advisor as a brand that is using kind of an influential person, whether it be an influencer on social media, a celebrity, a trusted professional like a dermatologist, to promote their brand. We've seen this kind of be successful. Again, kind of what we mentioned before, there's just a lot going on within beauty. There's a lot of news, and to kind of cut through that, sometimes it's helpful to have that trusted advisor kind of helping to promote that brand. Often if it is a celebrity, for example, they'll already have a very large audience that's following them on social media. So it kind of helps them to really be able to speak to a very targeted audience that's already kind of supportive of them anyway.
Gotcha.
So we've seen a lot of brands really just find success. We found that the brands that are successful really are able to be truly authentic and really communicate to their consumers kind of why did they establish this brand. Anybody can slap their name on a brand, but why is it important to them? Why is it meaningful? And brands that have been able to kind of really have that deep connection with their brand and kind of showcase that to their audience, we've found quite a bit of success. And the celebrity beauty segment is actually over $1 billion in the US.
Wow. Yeah, those are huge. But it doesn't always have to be a major celebrity, right?
No. Even brands that maybe use like a dermatologist tested we're seeing do well. There's a personal care brand that does very well that's backed by an MD. So we're definitely seeing trusted professionals, not just be celebrities, but and then influencers as well. If we kind of people that have gained a larger following on social media, they've been able to find success as well.
Okay, so maybe it may not be a big celebrity like a Kardashian or something, but if you get a bunch of micro-influencers that hit a certain market with a certain message, you get a bunch of them.
We've seen a lot of influencers launch their own brand as well.
Cool. And then a few others. You have personalization and inclusivity, luxury for all, and K-beauty.
Yeah, so for personalization and inclusivity, so what we're kind of seeing now is a lot of consumers are really looking for products that are going to meet their specific needs. So a lot of brands are kind of launching more to cater to that versus a mass market appeal. So I think it's a lot of the reason that is just because consumers are so knowledgeable, especially with social media and all the just information that's available online. People kind of are more aware of maybe what their hair needs or what their skin needs. There are very specific types. So we're seeing a lot of products that are for more specific hair needs or skin needs, and consumers are kind of looking for products that are going to help them with the results that they want versus something that's meant for everyone. So we're seeing definitely an increase in innovation.
I think a lot of that also happened during the pandemic time, where people had more time to study brands, research brands, and because now they're so much more educated about the ingredients that they're putting in and on their bodies than ever before. And again, I think there's so much personalization going on in other areas that it's carrying over into these categories.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
And then we're also seeing another trend that we're looking at is luxury for all. So you could kind of relate that a bit to the rise in dupes, I think. So kind of what that trend is we are seeing that consumers are really willing to kind of just buy the best product regardless of price point. So they're not always necessarily looking for the most expensive product on the market. They're not looking for the brand with the most clout necessarily or most prestigious brand. They're really looking for what product is going to work efficiently, and they're more willing to shop across price points as well. So we're really seeing kind of a rise in products that are really much more affordable, especially with just all the strains that consumers are facing these days. So they're products that are a bit more affordable, but they still work very well. They're still high quality ingredients, high quality results, but just at more affordable price points.
So just the biggest bang for the buck. They're getting a lot of value out of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right, and the last one,
Last
K-beauty.
one is K-beauty, yes. So K-beauty definitely isn't new. K-beauty brands have been around for quite a while in the U.S., but we feel like we've seen kind of a resurgence lately.
Okay.
And I think, again, I know we talk about social media a lot, but I think that's also a really big factor, just being able to kind of reach audiences and kind of educate through social media. But K-beauty has really been a growth driver of the trend just because a lot of the brands, they've also, I feel like they kind of are a bit more trusted. I think because, K-beauty is always kind of seen as kind of the experts in skincare. They typically use, pretty clean ingredients. They're also very ingredient savvy. I think a lot of trends also start there as well. So, and then they're also usually at more affordable price points as well. So kind of combining a couple of trends that we're seeing here, but consumers just can get really high quality products for affordable price points, and sometimes it's even the latest
Yeah.
and like in different technologies, like sunscreen, for example, or skincare ingredients. So we've definitely seen kind of a more resurgence, and a lot of those brands are starting on social media, like TikTok Shop, for example.
Gotcha. And like you just mentioned, this is a good segue into it. You know, a lot of these different innovation trends kind of interact or overlap and intersect. The social media wellness, so you have wellness influencers that really big on social media, or the K-beauty crossed a lot of these innovation trends.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like a lot of the really successful innovations kind of capitalized on all the trends that we're seeing. So it's definitely interesting to see from the innovations that we were able to pick as brands to highlight in our report. Many of them, really could fall under multiple trends.
Gotcha. So what are your recommendations for emerging brands? So some new brands that may be here for the first time, with regards to innovation. What should they be focusing on?
I definitely think it's important to focus on the channel strategy. I think within innovations, it's important to know, where consumers shopping, what are they looking for price points. We are seeing a lot of innovations even launch as, sometimes it, obviously can be hard to get a lot of retail space, but we are seeing a lot of innovations that are launching on TikTok Shop or Amazon. Exclusivity sometimes also is a trend that we're seeing with these. It kind of helps to create, especially since it's on social media with TikTok Shop, if it's a TikTok Shop exclusive, you're still getting a lot of visibility just because, it's just such a popular platform. You kind of have that targeted audience that you're looking for, and you're really able to kind of create a lot of buzz within that kind of exclusivity mindset. So just kind of being aware of the different platforms that are available to you, kind of what does your brand stand for, where are your consumers shopping, and kind of being open to kind of some maybe non-traditional routes as well, like a TikTok Shop.
I think that's important. That sometimes if they're new, they may be reluctant to do something exclusive because they want to get everywhere.
Right.
But sometimes if you're doing something exclusive, you get a lot out of that relationship, which can actually help you once you kind of spread your wings a little bit.
Yeah, we've definitely seen a lot with TikTok Shop, Amazon, even some beauty specialty retailers. We're seeing a lot of brands kind of exclusively launch there first, and it's again, it just creates a lot of hype, a lot of buzz. People really want to try that product, and they'll go shop there. Yeah,
and I think by the same token, if they start small, focus on like local retailers, independent retailers, they may also they have more leeway to kind of experiment and really figure out what really works for their customers, where they can kind of personalize their offers a little bit. And then as they scale up, they already have kind of worked out all the kinks.
Yeah, and then I do also think it's important to kind of highlight, kind of again, since we were talking about how savvy our consumers are, they might necessarily like be attached to a brand, but they're really kind of looking for what products are going to help with the specific need, a specific concern, or an ingredient. So kind of really highlighting kind of what really sets your brand apart in those aspects. So I don't think a big name brand is always the most important aspect anymore. I think a lot of consumers are they kind of know what they're looking for, and they're willing to experience, especially with beauty. People are so willing to try new things and just add different products to their regimen, be experimentative. So I think beauty is a great space for innovation.
Yeah, and I've seen that myself. I've seen a friend of mine that's interested in something with specific ingredients. They'll just put those ingredients in TikTok and then look for the videos that pop up. And then that's where they're getting that information.
Yeah.
Even if it's not from, and sometimes it's almost as if a non-celebrity has more weight. If they see someone, it's like, oh, this is a regular person like me who tried the product and it's just giving the honest opinion of it. And that really carries a lot of weight, more weight than I thought it would.
Yeah, one of our winners on Viral and Social, it was a perfume brand, and they had an influencer. She teared up using the perfume because it would just evoke such powerful emotions.
Oh, wow.
She has quite a lot of followers, and so it just kind of created this viral moment for the brand for this particular perfume because of how the consumer react.
And you can't like fake something like that.
Exactly. I mean, it was just a very genuine reaction, and it just really helped to kind of blow up the brand.
Well, everybody wants to create a moment like that. Like the ocean spray guy. The guy on the skateboard with the ocean spray, and he was listening to Fleetwood Mac, and he was singing with Fleetwood Mac, went viral, sold out ocean spray, and Fleetwood Mac went to the top of the Billboard charts. For the, again, 30 years later, from this one dude that just his car broke down and he had to skateboard to work. So you never know when that next hit is going to be, but it doesn't necessarily have to come from a celebrity. So, Awesome. Well, great insights, and looking forward to your presentation later on today. But thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.